Here we are, folks, in January, going into a special edition within these next 4 months from January to April. 4 months of Oscar. With the Oscars just around the corner, we'll honor the winners of a few patron-winning selections that have won the specific Oscars of the month, and this month being Best Director. This first selection of Oscar-winning directors is Frank Capra's Oscar-winning magnificence of Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, released by Capra's home studio for years, Columbia Pictures, in the humble year of 1936, earning Capra his second Oscar for Best Director. Also nominated this film for Best Picture, Best Actor, Gary Cooper, Best Screenplay, and Best Sound. Based on the short story Opera Hat by Clarence Buddington Kellen, Capra lovingly adapts this story with screenwriting pal Robert Riskin about Longfellow Deeds Cooper inheriting $20 million from his late uncle Martin out of New York. Side note, inflation to today's dollars, that's like $427 million. Insane! The thing is, Martin's lawyers don't know who the hell Deeds is, so they travel to Mandrake Falls, where the scenery enthralls, where no hardship e'er befalls. Welcome to Mandrake Falls. Cute. And they find the tuba-playing, greeting card-writing simpleton who really looks like such a frickin' movie star. Once he arrives to New York, he obviously is such a fish out of water that the reporters will just frickin' eat him alive, especially Babe Bennett, played wonderfully by Jean Arthur. But how about that? They will simply fall in love, so now, how will Babe, or Mary Dawson, live with herself? Most importantly, how will Deeds stay strong in the big city that can demolish anybody's hopes and dreams? Knowing this is directed by Frank Capra, it's easy to find out that the small man, like Deeds, the farmer, the working man, the innocent, can overcome the greedy bullies in corporate and Wall Street. There's always the strong message in Capra films, which I always love. And yes, it may not always be probable and possible in the real world, but it's the ideal that speaks to everyone, that we hope it will happen. The casting, like any other Capra film, is purely genius, with Cooper and Arthur giving some of their best. Cooper, in particular. Gary Cooper was Capra's first and only choice for Deeds, since Cooper just simply represents the strong, silent type who just gets the job done, loves life, loves his loved ones, and loves his country. He personifies the image of the great American man, just perfectly, with the sincerest of hearts. And he has so many beautiful, beautiful moments in this. One of them being the moment he finds out over the phone Babe has betrayed him and played him this whole time. And just the look on his face tells us everything. All the heartbreak he's feeling in the silence. Or how about the famous moment where the farmer crashes in the big mansion and threatens Deeds because he, along with all the other big millionaires, do nothing but rob the working man, and the farmer is driven to anger after losing his farm after 20 years of work. Deeds at first thinks he's a moocher and wanting to take him down, like everyone else, until the farmer breaks down in front of him, drops his gun, glad he didn't hurt anybody. And Deeds understands and feels just as close to the town of New York than before, because the town is filled with hundreds of thousands of working men and women and people who have made the millionaires what they are today. So Deeds does first the wonderful thing of feeding the farmer a huge banquet dinner. And I just love that moment where he's just at the dinner table just watching him, feeling good about giving back and actually finally helping somebody much more so who has struggled and has failed. And then he does the ultimate well deed by giving his fortune away to all the unemployed workers, providing everyone even lunch. Once again, not probable in real life, but God, do we love fairy tales. And there's no one that builds it wonderfully like Frank Capra. Jean Arthur as Babe Bennett is fantastic when Capra could get her on camera. She was apparently so affected by stage fright that she would often throw up and lock herself in her dressing room. But after enough encouragement, she would come on and nail it. Carol Lombard was originally going to play Babe, but she dropped out in order to do My Man Godfrey, which all worked out for the best, indeed. The way she reads the poem Deeds wrote is so precious and tender, and it's tough to believe Capra wanted to cut it. Capra, of course, always had great supporting characters, my favorite in this case being Lionel Stander as Cornelius Cobb. the wisecracking, cynical executive for Deeds, who scoffs at his simple ideals, but praises the man for his silent strength, changing the wave of how he reversed his fortune. Capra certainly experimented a lot with this film, and it was an in-betweener since he originally wanted to do Lost Horizon. But Ronald Colman wasn't available yet, so he took on this project instead and took the advantage to have fun and build his skill set of a director even more, with multiple perspective shots and multiple angles. Producer Harry Cohn was always getting on his last nerve. I mean, who the hell was Cohn not driving crazy? So Capra made it a goal to keep Cohn at bay and shoot as many takes as he could without yelling cut. He would just simply say, "Do it again," so Cohn couldn't have his order of printing one take come into effect. Capra also held his ground by not shooting an inch of film if any executive from the studio showed up on set, so he could maintain control. You want to talk about a film that certainly has such great dialogue that warms your heart, from the sappy greeting cards Deeds writes to seminal messages that everyone who sees this film receives that reminds them what can bring us together. Robert Riskin actually did something great with coining the term doodling, just scribbling drawings, which was then confirmed with many people's English language from then on. When this film was released in 1936, you can guess it was a great success. Novelist Graham Greene calling it Frank Capra's best film yet, and its box office even surpassing Capra's last great hit, It Happened One Night. To this day, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town holds such a high inspirational place in filmgoers' hearts, spawning a tiny-lived series of the same name in the late 60s to the Adam Sandler and Winona Ryder remake, Mr. Deeds, which in all honesty, folks, isn't that bad. I quite enjoy that remake. But it certainly doesn't hold a candle up to Capra's own original tale. All in all, my friends, I give Mr. Deeds Goes to Town an A-. There are some scenes that drag just a bit. The love story between Arthur and Cooper didn't exactly sweep me off my feet, but I still am charmed by their beloved chemistry, and with Capra's great stock company, you can't help but be taken away from its strong, energetic love. So my dear friends, have you seen Mr. Deeds Goes to Town? What do you think of it? Do you think Frank Capra deserved the Oscar for Best Director here over, say, Robert Z. Leonard for The Great Ziegfeld or Gregory LaCava for My Man Godfrey? I still certainly think Capra deserved it for Deeds, but let me know in the comments. Please like, share with all your friends, and keep updated with more reviews to come. And in the meantime, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and don't work so hard that you forget how to live.